Hi, plant family. This is Trina from Body Candy and Crochet, and this is my first plant and sip video. Today, we're going to go over the top things that I wish I knew before I became a plant mom. Now, I decided to become a content creator to document my plant journey. I had plants for years, not as many as I have now, but I've been in my little relationship for about maybe 8 years. So I say I've had maybe four or five plants living in my apartment, and they live in my window. But I got so frustrated with not being able to know how to keep plants that I filled up my windows with artificial plants. And I still have my artificial plants because I'm not going to toss them to the side because I have an enormous amount of live plants because they were my thing back then. They were my decorations for my windows and my home. So about 8 years ago, I received a plant from my other half, and I still have that plant. So I definitely have plants that are between 8 and 10 and maybe a little bit more years old, but just like I said, not as many. As of today, I own over 250 plants. It may be a little bit more than that because I haven't included, well, let me lie. It is more than that because I haven't included my new shipments that I got in and some new plants that I bought from the nurseries that I have. So let's keep it at right now just over 250 plants. And it's a journey, and it's a healing journey for me. And plants make me happy. I am not gonna lie. I am addicted to buying plants. I said I was gonna stop at 10. Then I said I was gonna stop at 50. I said I was gonna stop at 100. Look how many I have now. There's so many different species out here. But you have to learn and be educated. You know, you get a plant and you think you can keep it. Next thing you know, the plant is dead. Why is it dead? So I'm going to go over a few things that have been known, that's been out there, but hopefully somebody that's new to the plant parenthood can take something that I'm going to say today into consideration to help them become a better plant person, because I've sure have done my research and it has helped me. There's a lot of YouTubers out there that I follow, and some things that work for them don't work for me, and what may work for me may not be work for you. So don't take everything I say as a grain of salt. Just take it as some direction, and then you move forth to how you need to go and taking care of your plants. So I'm going to start with saying that we kill plants unknowingly because we don't know what we're doing. You walk by your plant every day. Let me put a little water in there. You walk by it a couple more days. Oh, let me put a little bit more water in there. Few more days, oh, let me put a little more water in there, because you're thinking you're helping the plant when in all actuality you're killing the plant because you're overwatering it, and overwatering leads to root rot. Root rot is when there's no aeration getting to the roots through the soil because it's so compacted and wet all the time. You're killing the plants, but you really don't know that. So I'm going to start with watering. Do your research, because there's so many plants that I have in this house that can't be on the same schedule as other plants. There's some plants I have to water every 2 days. There's some plants I have to water every 3 days. There's some plants I have to water every 7 to 10 days. And there are some plants that gets watered once a month or once every other month. So you have to do your research and learn how to take care of your plant, because what I've learned is that your plants talk to you. They tell you when they want to be watered. They give you signs. They give you hints. So it's like raising children, right? Keeping plants, and I'm going to say I hoard plants. Having a lot of plants is like having children. There's always something wrong every day. You got to wash them. You got to tend to them. You got to give them attention. You got to make love to your plants when you're watering them. You have to show them love and dedication, or they will die. Some plants in here, they throw tantrums. They fall out. I had to show my other half literally what I meant. Some plants fall out. You move them from an inch, you come back, they laid out flat. You miss a watering, they all nilt to the side. It's a learning process. So pay attention to when your plant talks to you and let you know about watering, because you can overwater, you can underwater. It's just a matter of educating yourself and knowing. I think I'm enjoying this plant sip. We might have to do this a little bit more often. So secondly, let's talk about soil. Now, I would say 85 to 90% semi-hydroponics with my plants. Yes, I do have plants in soil. I don't knock anybody that keep their plants in soil. I just choose not to use the soil substrate. I use leca, which is a semi-hydroponic way of keeping your plants. And that's a whole nother video that I can go into at another time. The plants that I have in soil are my older plants, because I've learned how to manage them and keep them. And I'm not going to keep plants that I've had in pots for 8 to 10 years and turn them over to semi-hydroponics, because that will shock the plant. They're fine, they're living, they're healthy, and they're going to stay in soil. Some new plants I do have in soil, because I'm not familiar with turning those over to semi-hydroponics, because I don't know if they will live or thrive. So I have to do more research. Like my Sansevieria I just bought, the starfish. I don't know if that one can go into semi-hydroponics, so that one will sit into soil. But like I said, 85 to 90% of my plants, they're going into hydroponics, because I have way too many plants in this home to have them all sitting in soil. Why? Gnats. Why? Bugs, pests. Not saying that that's all gonna generate from having soil, but I just don't want that type of problem in my home. So pick what substrate you like to use. There's plenty. You have soil. If you're going to use soil, I just recommend that you mix it with a little perlite to give it some aeration, because in a lot of these cheap stores, these dollar stores, yes, they are selling soil, but they turn into like a sort of a cement, and that's not good for the roots of your plant. So if you could put like maybe 70% soil and 30% perlite, just mix it together, and you'll see that you'll have the little white beads in your soil. If you're going to use perlite, please wash it and rinse it first, because when you pour perlite out of a bag, there's a dust. That dust is not good for your lungs. So please rinse your perlite before you work with it. Put on a mask, cover your face. You don't want to inhale that dust. You have aroid mix, which is soilless. You have perlite, vermiculite, you have charcoal, you have bark, cocoa peat, so many different things. So research the type of substrate you would like for your plants to live in. Let's talk about humidity. We buy plants, and then, like I said, you wonder why they're dead in a day or a week or in a month, because some plants need low humidity, some plants need high humidity. You can't just buy a plant that's supposed to be in high humidity, like such as tropical plants, and bring them home, and you have 19% humidity in your home. They're not going to survive. They're not going to survive at all. So do your research on that humidity. For example, the Queen Warwickquinum and the King Devetchii, they're high humidity plants. I've learned my lesson the hard way. Seeing these plants on auction, seeing them in stores, buying them, bringing them home, boom, dead, money down the drain. You got to do your research. So humidity is definitely something that you need to take into consideration. Lighting, a whole nother thing. We talk about low light plants. There's no such thing as low light plants. All plants need light. Can some plants tolerate living in lower lighting conditions? Yes, but they cannot live in the dark. You have to have some source of lighting, whether it's a little bit of light, or bright light. Grow lights is if you don't have high lighting in your home, grow lights are an excellent source of lighting. when you like when people say low light, yes, there's some plants that can live in a corner without lighting. They could live over the lighting from your ceiling or some light that's far away. Snake plants is one of them. Pothos are some of them. They don't have to be in medium or bright and indirect lighting. So please keep in mind, when people say low lighting, that doesn't mean no light. They have to have some source of lighting, even if it's a little bit of light. But you can't come home and put a plant in the dark corner. It's going to die. It's not. They have to have some sort of some sun to get the chlorophyll. They have to. It's a must. Let's talk about pests. Becoming a plant mom, I did not know about mealybugs. I didn't know about spider mites. I didn't know about scale. Only thing I knew about was gnats, and that's what I was always afraid of, because gnats come from overly moist soil. They lay eggs, hundreds of legs in the soil, hundreds of eggs in the soil, and next thing you know, you have all these little flies living all in your home, and you didn't even know where they're coming from. They're coming from the overwatered soil. Check your plants when you buying them from nurseries. Go in your plant, look behind it, check all up in here. Look for spider mites, look for mealybugs. You'll see damage. It'll be yellow markings all over the plant, all on the edges, especially with the alocasias. They are spider mite magnets. You have to check your plants. Look in all these grooves. If a nursery or a plant shop have problems with you checking the plants before you buy them, that's a problem. You should be able to go in. I'm not saying go and mess up all their plants, but, and another thing, don't touch plants. That's a whole nother video. You look, you look in the creases, you look in the crevices, slightly touch behind and see if anything is living behind it. But don't be all in the store all touching plants. The bacteria from your hands is no good for the plants. A good nursery will have up signs: do not touch the plants, don't massage them. But you can look at them. So check your plants, because you bring home an infested plant, those bugs can infest every single plant in your home. I didn't even know spider mites could fly. They fly from plant to plant in the wind. So please be careful. Check your plants for pests. That's one of the things that people need to be educated on. Research. I'm at a point where I feel comfortable raising plants. I can't raise everything. Trust me, I've been through it. I've killed many of plants, and it's a learning experience. Like this plant back here, this is my 5th one, and I'm gonna keep doing it until I get it right. Knock on wood that this one is thriving for me. I keep it in my greenhouse in high humidity. So I'm hoping that I figured this one out, because I love this one. I have this species, I have the purple and white one, the green and white one, and I want to keep this plant. Some plants I have given up on, and that's going to be another video. That plants that don't like me and I don't like them neither. So please do your research. You're buying all of these tropical plants. You cannot get a plant that's been born and raised in the tropics and bring it into your house with a different type of environment. You will shock that plant, and then you wonder why you spent $80, $100, and $200 on a plant and you wasted your money. Do your due diligence and do your research. There's a lot of things that have to go on with plants. Some plants need to be in high humidity. Some plants need to be in extreme bright lights. Some plants just have to be taken care of differently from other plants. Please do your research. I buy plants, and when I'm waiting for them to come in, I'm researching. But you have to be careful, because like I said, something that works for someone else, something that works for someone that lives in Australia is not going to work for you here in the US. So you have to fiddle with it, nudge it, take what they have, and then see what works for you. Like I see a lot of people keep monsteras in high light, bright lights. My monsteras don't grow in bright lights. And I kept bringing monsteras home, putting them directly under the light, putting them straight in the window. They were dying on me until I accidentally bought a plant, forgot that I left it in my dining room, because I buy so many plants, and it was there for like a week or two. And when I looked at the plant, I was like, oh wow, I just sat here for a minute, and it was in an indirect spot, and the plant had already was giving me babies. It was acclimating perfectly. It was doing well. So you have to do your research. Repotting. Now this is a thing for open discussion because some people say don't repot the plant as soon as you bring it home. Some people repot plants as soon as you bring them home. In my case, I do because I transition my plants from soil to leca. So I immediately wash off the soil, soak it in a solution, and get it ready for being transitioned to leca. If you buy a plant and that plant is root bound and the roots is coming out of the bottom and the tops of the sides, repot that plant. Don't wait until the repotting season and you kill the plant and you don't know why the plant is dying, got yellow leaves. It's because it's root bound. May not be always the case, but like I said, if you see the roots are busting out of the pot, repot the plant. It's not going to hurt. Just be careful. You don't want to repot your plant in a cold home. That makes no sense. You're going to shock the roots. But some plants can stay in nursery pots for up to a year or two. If they're in that nursery pot and they're thriving, leave them alone. Some of us, and I've made this mistake many a times. You come home, you buy the plant, you want to put it in this old, big old, beautiful pot that you purchased. Little itty bitty plant. You got it in this big old, giant, beautiful pot with all this soil, all this dirt, and you constantly watering that big, giant pot of soil with this little plant and all that soil. Why did it die? Because it's a large amount of soil that's consistently wet and you overwatering your plant. So take into consideration before you repot. Yes, some plants need to be repotted when you bring them home and some don't. But try to let them acclimate to your home before you repot them. Acclimate, let's talk about that. Acclimating is when a plant comes to your home from living somewhere else, whether it's from being transported from another country, whether you bought it from a nursery, whether you bought it from a greenhouse. The temperatures and where that plant came from in the nursery or the greenhouse is not in what you have in your home. So the plant has to transition. You are going to lose leaves. Get over it. You're going to lose leaves and don't think it's your fault. A plant has to acclimate and get used to your environment. I have bought plants where they had 4 or 5 leaves. I've lost all of the leaves. And then the new leaf that come in is a leaf that's acclimated to your home. And every leaf that comes after that will be acclimated to your home. So that's another thing to take into consideration is acclimation. Let's talk about some plants have problems and it's not always your fault. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not always your fault. Just because a plant died, it's not your fault and it don't make you a bad parent. It doesn't. Some plants just don't want to be in your house. Some plants just don't like you. And I know there are some plants that don't like me. Spider plants, the easiest plants you could have. I cannot keep them to save my life. I am on my 18th billionth spider plant and I can't keep them. Why? I don't know. I've done everything in the book. Low light, highlight, humidity, hung on the floor, in a corner, in a window. I can't keep them at all. At all. So don't get distracted or disappointed when a plant die on you. It's not always your fault. Not always. Let's talk about something similar to what I just said, the yellow and dying leaves. Yes, we look at content creators and their homes are beautiful. Everything is green. No yellow and leaves, nothing. I'm not knocking nobody, but some plants yellow. Yellow and leaves is a natural thing with plants. Once again, don't think it's your fault. If you look out in nature and look outside, those plants have brown leaves. Some of them have yellow leaves. So what makes you think by you not bringing them home that they won't do the same? So yellow and browning leaves doesn't make you a bad plant parent. It's a part of nature. Get used to it. Do we want to see our plants have yellow leaves, brown tips? No, we don't. It's our job to find out what's the problem and try to fix it. If you can't fix it, there's nothing wrong with tossing the plant. I've tossed many plants in the garbage. I didn't want to. If it has green, to me, it's a sign of life. But if you want to act up and you're just going to keep dying and you want to die, you're gone. You're out. Bye. See you. Let's talk about those of us that keep plants in water. Should you change the water? This is a big debate. Some people change their water weekly, and I get it. That's something you want to do. I don't change my water. Any plants that I have that's living directly in water, I don't change them. As far as propagating goes, I leave them in the water. Because to me, some of the and I may be saying this wrong, the bacteria and the stuff that's living inside the water is the natural juices of that plant. And that's what's helping it grow and actually helping the roots grow. So if you're consistently changing the water, you're washing all of that away. Some people have success with it. I'm not knocking them. Like I said, what works for everybody don't work for everybody else. The only time that I change my water in my leca plants is when I'm flushing them. When there's white buildup on top of my leca, yes, I will completely flush my leca until they're clean. And that's usually every 2 to 3 weeks or even 4 weeks. It depends. It really depends, because some of my leca plants don't get a mineral buildup as fast as the other ones. So that's when I will completely do a full flush. Brand new water, flush it, get brand new, not the leca, but just some, get rid of the stagnant water. Yes, I do that. But other than that, I don't change my water. I'm not knocking nobody, like I said, that changes their water, because sometimes you do have to change the water. And there is one plant I have that I do change the water weekly with, and that's my Monstera Thai constellation, because I've done so much research on that, and that plant has a high risk level of root rot, and I don't want that to happen. If you know about Monstera Thai constellations, they cost a pretty penny, and we don't have hundreds of dollars. So you don't want to waste your money on that plant. So I faithfully change that water, and I use distilled water. And yes, I'm a little extra with my plants. I don't use tap water. I learned my lesson. I learned my lesson the hard way with the tap water. That's a whole nother video up for discussion. But that's the only plant that I will change every week, because that plant in its genes is susceptible to root rot. So that one is getting cleaned every week. And also I have a bubble system inside of that plant as well. That's a whole nother video about keeping your plants with aeration. Let's talk about dormancy, because that's a big issue. I remember when I got into alocasias. I did do my research, buying alocasias, boom, one day they dead. Oh, I can't keep a plant. What am I doing wrong? Why are they dying? They're not dying. Plants go into hibernation, and it's called dormancy. It's not called hibernation, but it's called dormancy. They go away and they come back. So don't think it's you, but you need to figure out what plants go into dormancy. And I know for a fact, alocasias go into dormancy. Now, there are ways of keeping your plants from going into dormancy, but you're going to have to do your own research, because there are proven facts that some plants can be kept from going into dormancy. Do your research. Let's talk about greenhouses. Now, if you notice, a lot of people on social media are creating greenhouses, whether it's the IKEA cabinets, whether it's those little glass and metal house domes. They look like little houses. They're fun and exciting. I wanted to make an IKEA greenhouse cabinet, but I have nowhere to put one. I have so many plants in my house. So what I did is, one of my bathrooms that I don't use as much, I keep the humidity high in there. and my most expensive plants live in there. The plants that need to be kept in high humidity in there are kept in there, and my plants that need to be 50% and above are kept inside of there. And what I do also is when I get a new plant in, I put them in there to before I acclimate them into another room, especially my tropical plants. I have a lot of plants that I order from Ecuagenera, and you know that's a whole different climate. So I put them into the humidity in that my greenhouse before I bring them into the other rooms in my house, and then they acclimate into the lower humidity in my house. But creating greenhouses are beautiful, and it's like having your own jungle. And my son teases me all the time. He's like, WTH, what are you doing? You live in a jungle. And yes, I do. Yes, I do. Let's talk about you choosing plants. If you see a plant you want, get it. Do I spend a lot of money on plants? Yes, I do. Because it's plants that I want, and I'm going to get it. Is it a bad thing? For me, yes, it is. Because sometimes it gets crazy. If you've been plant shopping with me, you know I ask no questions. I second guess nothing. If I want it, I'm getting it. My lights are on, my gas is on, my rent is paid, so nobody can tell me what I'm going to spend on my plants. I work, I have my own money. But if you see a plant, get that plant. Don't let nobody tell you, oh, you spend too much money on plants. Why are you buying that plant? There's groups on Facebook where people, you know, they come, they ask questions, they want to know things, and they're asking about tropical plants, and they say how much they pay for these plants. And people are, you know, just being disrespectful to them. It's like, how could you spend so much money on plants? I would never. That's your business. That's your business. And don't tell nobody how much they could spend on plants. Because if it's something you want, you get it. You're spending your money on luxury bags, cars, and stuff that you don't need. If somebody want to spend their money on plants, let them spend it. Sorry, I didn't turn my volume down. Sorry. But anyway, if you see a plant, get it. My plants, I have paid $4 for a plant, and I've paid a couple of $100s for plants. I just do it because I can, and I enjoy it. Plants make me happy. Now, I've been in some auctions where I've seen plants be $500, $1,000, $700, $1,700, and I'm like, oh, wow. But these are for rare, beautiful plants, and they're gorgeous, and I see why people do it. If you have it, I ain't knocking nobody. I don't have $1,700 for a plant. I don't have $500 for a plant. But if there's a plant I want, I'm going to get it. So don't let nobody make you feel bad about something that you want to buy that makes you happy, and especially if it's a plant. You tell them Trina said. So, thank you for joining me on my first plant and sip. I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you again. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you. I appreciate you. Don't forget to hit that like button, share, and subscribe. And I love all you guys, especially my plant family. Have a good day.